The first memory I have is my mom crying. She had just came out of the doctor's office. My dad and me were in the car waiting for her. I didn't understand it then because I was very young, but I learned that she had had the bad news that she had cancer and it was already advanced. I remember sitting in the car with my parents. My mom suddenly grabbed the steering wheel and said something like, "Then I'll drive us all." She tried to pull, the steering wheel, and my dad had to hold it back. And that's my first memory. That moment, that feeling. My mom was often in the hospital after that, so I didn't really get to know her well. I didn't really have many good memories from my childhood, or maybe they are there, but just the bad ones that kind of stay so strong that they just override everything else. My dad was an alcoholic. My sister became unstable. My brother got into drugs and alcohol. And there were very violent fights between him and my dad, really violent. Police came to our house almost every week. And eventually my brother became schizophrenic. I think he just broke. I never saw my mom the last 3 months before she died, never got to say goodbye. And the last time I saw her was when the ambulance came to get her. And she reached out to me. She, made me sign to come to her, and I hid behind my sister. I just couldn't move, and I carried that guilt forever. Guilt became my trademark. My sister was somehow put in the role of babysitter, but she was falling apart herself. And when I was 14, I was doing some modeling work to help my dad pay the bills. And one night, one of my friends came, from the modeling class, and she forgot her keys. And, we didn't have cell phones yet. It was late, around 10 in the evening. And I told her, well, you can just sleep at my place. My dad wasn't home, so we could sleep in his bed, and it will be like a little sleepover, which I always did when I had sleepovers and my dad wasn't there, and that was totally fine, I gave her pajamas, and my sister exploded. She started screaming at me, completely freaking out. Why? I have no idea. I felt so embarrassed and sad for my friend, and there were just so many moments like that. The house was extremely unpredictable. I learned to survive by erasing myself, by becoming invisible. Didn't have hobbies, I didn't develop skills, didn't develop anything. Was always walking on eggshells, keeping the peace, making sure everyone else was safe, and I believed it was my job to hold the family together. Because my mom always wanted us kids to stay close, so I carried that, always. Now, as I got older, I became the caretaker. I took care of my brother when he relapsed into drugs. I even got him, co-located so he wouldn't end up worse. I was constantly helping my sister when she called, always fixing and rescuing. And by then I already had chronic fatigue. I was so tired I could barely function, but, I kept pushing and started drinking myself too, at some point, because that's what I saw around me. I was very depressed, but I never showed that to anyone. I was like the happy party girl. No one knew really what was happening inside of me. I was thinking more and more about ending it all. And the hardest thing was realizing that most of the problems I was carrying weren't even mine. I was trying to fix everyone else's life while mine was falling apart. I tried everything to heal. At first, I, didn't talk about anything, But then I tried psychologists, and they told me that I was fine. Then I tried, Tai Chi and yoga, breathwork, journaling, herbs, crystal skull healing, light therapy, anything I could find. I wanted to believe each thing would be the thing that finally worked. But nothing did. Nothing touched the guilt, the exhaustion, the heaviness. So I accepted that maybe this was just who I am. I was maybe born like this. I don't know. I have no happy memories, so I didn't know how I was in a neutral state as a happy kid. And then, when I was studying herbalism, I met someone who became my mentor and still is today. She introduced me to these Bach Flower Remedies, these little drops made from flowers. And I thought, okay, I don't know how flowers can do what therapy couldn't, but something in me, maybe hope or maybe desperation or the belief in something ancient and true, something said, try. And so I did. Now, please wait, because I'm not trying to sell you a product. You can make these for free if you want. I just want to help others the way I was helped. So it wasn't big at first. It wasn't dramatic. It was kind of subtle, almost invisible. But I started saying no just once, and then again. I felt less guilty when I did. I started to create little pockets of space for myself. I started breathing again, sleeping better, feeling lighter. I wasn't fixed, but I was kind of becoming myself, slowly, gently. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't just surviving, I was living. And so I wanted to make this little video to install courage, to share just a tiny fraction of my life with you, and to show you that things can change, miracles can happen, and it doesn't need to be expensive or difficult. It can be fully natural, free, personalized, aligned with your situation and your values. I want you to know that change isn't just possible, it is within your reach. Please have a look at these Bach Flower Remedies for yourself. You don't have to go through me. Look things up online and make them yourselves, or buy a tiny stock bottle somewhere. And if you want to take my hand, all links are below. Of course, I offer consultations, classes to help yourself, and I have a circle where like-minded people meet. And all the information on YouTube is free, so do yourself the favor. Just have a look at it. I healed 25 years of trauma without therapy or medication, not by forcing myself to change, but by working with the emotions that were holding me prisoner. Bach flowers gave me the space to breathe, to let go, to come back to myself. If you've carried invisible wounds too, I want you to know this. You are not broken, and you don't have to do this alone. If you want me to make a longer version of this video where I share more about my journey and how these beautiful remedies help me, let me know in the comments and I will do so. Thank you so much for being here with me. See you in the next one.